What if I told you that your brain is wired for change, but only if you know how to activate it? What if I told you that 6 small, consistent actions over just 21 days could lead to powerful, measurable transformation in your mood, focus, energy, and even your sense of purpose? You see, the human nervous system is not fixed. It's adaptable. It thrives on structure, repetition, and challenge. That's why today I want to introduce you to 6 small but neurologically significant habits. Habits that are backed by science and proven by experience that can rewire your mindset and elevate your life. This is not about overnight success. This is about neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to reshape itself through consistent behavior. And over the next 21 days, we're going to tap into that potential deliberately. Waking up at the same time every day may sound like a simple habit, but its effects on the brain and body are profound. Your body operates on a natural rhythm known as the circadian rhythm. This internal clock regulates everything from your sleep-wake cycle to hormone release, energy levels, and even your ability to focus. When you wake up in inconsistent times, your brain receives mixed signals, and it becomes harder to enter a peak state of performance physically, mentally, and emotionally. But when you align your wake-up time with consistency, your brain begins to anticipate what's coming next. This anticipation is crucial. It allows you to fall asleep more easily, wake up feeling more alert, and enter your day with more control and less chaos. The key to this habit is not just about waking up early, but waking up at the same time 7 days a week, even on weekends. This trains your nervous system to expect alertness at a specific time. Over time, your brain starts to release cortisol, the hormone that supports wakefulness and attention, about 45 minutes to an hour before you wake up. This natural rhythm allows you to rise with energy rather than drag yourself out of bed relying on stimulants or willpower. When cortisol is released properly in the morning, it also helps regulate other systems like inflammation, immune function, and metabolism. Disrupting this release by constantly changing your wake-up time throws off these systems and leads to fatigue, mental fog, and even emotional instability. And what most people don't realize is that discipline around waking up is not just about the morning. It starts the night before. If you want to wake up at 6 a.m. consistently, your brain needs to be winding down around 9 or 10 p.m. It's not about being rigid. It's about being intentional. When you build a strong anchor point at the beginning of the day, your wake-up time, you gain more power over how the rest of the day unfolds. Many people try to control everything in their lives except this one key factor. They chase productivity hacks, energy supplements, or mental tricks while ignoring the foundation. When they wake up and how consistently they do it. There's also a psychological benefit to this practice. Waking up at the same time every day builds self-trust. Each time you wake up on time, even when it's hard, your brain registers that you followed through on your promise. This is how identity shifts begin. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with discipline and start becoming someone who honors structure. The compound effect of this habit cannot be overstated. It's the habit that influences all other habits. If you wake up late, everything gets pushed. If you wake up early and consistently, you have time to train, to think, to plan, and to win. Waking up at the same time improves the quality of your sleep over time. You may not notice it in the first few days, but as your body adjusts to a predictable schedule, you'll fall into deeper sleep cycles more reliably. This means more restorative rest, improved memory consolidation, and better emotional regulation. Sleep is not just about duration. It's about depth and rhythm. By stabilizing your wake-up time, you indirectly enhance your ability to handle stress, stay motivated, and think clearly throughout the day. This single habit also improves your relationship with time. It makes you more aware of how precious the early hours are. The quiet of the morning becomes your advantage, free from noise, distractions, and the demands of the world. It gives you space to reflect, prepare, and act with purpose. You're not reacting to the day, you're leading it. Over 21 days, your brain begins to wire itself around this new routine. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. This is how transformation begins. Not through massive changes, but by mastering small daily rituals that shape your identity at a neurological level. Exposing yourself to natural sunlight within the first hour of waking is one of the most scientifically validated habits for optimizing your mental and physical health. The moment natural light hits your eyes in the morning, it sends a powerful signal to a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This region acts as your body's master clock, responsible for regulating your circadian rhythm. When that light enters your eyes, especially sunlight rich in blue light, it resets your internal clock and tells your body that the day has begun. This process is critical for proper hormone function, energy regulation, and even mental clarity. Morning sunlight exposure triggers a cascade of physiological processes. One of the most important is the suppression of melatonin, the hormone responsible for making you feel sleepy. By reducing melatonin at the right time, you support a clear transition between sleep and wakefulness. At the same time, sunlight triggers the gradual increase of cortisol. Not the stress-inducing kind, but the healthy natural release that promotes alertness, drive, and focus. This combination primes your brain and body for action, setting the tone for everything you do for the rest of the day. People often underestimate how much light is needed to activate this system. Indoor lighting is simply not enough. Even on a cloudy day, natural light from the sun delivers far more lux, a measure of light intensity, than artificial indoor lights ever could. Standing outside for just 5 to 10 minutes in the morning with no sunglasses and no glass between you and the light can have a massive impact on your mood, mental clarity, and sleep quality later that night. This habit is even more crucial during the darker months when sunlight is limited. In those times, it's important to get outside as early as possible to maximize exposure, even if the sky is overcast. When you make this a daily practice, you start noticing a shift not just in your energy levels, but in your mindset. You become more grounded, more alert, and more connected to the day. There is a psychological benefit to stepping outside and feeling the world come alive around you. It signals to your nervous system that it's time to engage, to move, and to create. It tells your body that you're part of a larger cycle, one governed not by screens or artificial light, but by nature. This grounding effect helps reduce anxiety, regulate mood, and promote a greater sense of presence throughout your day. This small act also enhances sleep quality at night. By getting early light exposure, you start a countdown that will eventually help your brain produce melatonin again in the evening at the right time. It's a rhythm. Light in the morning shuts melatonin down, and about 12 to 14 hours later, your brain prepares to release it again to help you fall asleep. Disrupting this cycle by avoiding morning light or relying too much on artificial lighting leads to fragmented sleep, poor mood regulation, and even decreased cognitive performance over time. So this habit isn't just about starting the day strong, it's about ending the day better as well. Another key benefit of early light exposure is that it naturally increases dopamine levels. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation. It gives you the drive to pursue your goals and engage with challenges. When sunlight hits certain photoreceptors in your retina, it triggers dopamine-producing neurons in the brain. This not only helps you feel more awake, but it also boosts your mood and resilience. Over time, this can help reduce symptoms of depression, increase productivity, and elevate your overall emotional baseline. What's powerful about this habit is its simplicity. It doesn't require equipment, a membership, or a subscription. It just requires you to step outside and look toward the sky, not directly at the sun, but toward the brightest part of the sky for several minutes. Doing this consistently trains your brain to expect activity, alertness, and focus at a specific time. It's a natural way to align your biology with your goals. Many people chase energy through caffeine or supplements, but this is energy that's earned by aligning with biology. It's sustainable, free, and deeply effective when practiced consistently over 21 days. Limiting dopamine spikes from devices and junk information is one of the most underestimated yet transformative habits you can develop. Every time you check your phone, scroll through social media, watch a quick video, or consume sensational content, your brain receives a hit of dopamine, a chemical that signals pleasure, novelty, and reward. While dopamine is essential for motivation and drive, repeated and unpredictable spikes in dopamine, especially from shallow digital stimuli, begin to rewire the brain in harmful ways. They reduce your sensitivity to the natural rewards of life, deep work, meaningful conversations, personal progress, and spiritual reflection. When dopamine is released in high bursts from scrolling or consuming endless digital content, it creates a feedback loop. Your brain starts to crave more novelty, more stimulation, and more instant gratification. The result is a lowered attention span, increased procrastination, emotional instability, and eventually burnout. The problem isn't dopamine itself. It's the artificial manipulation of it through things that require no effort, but produce immediate gratification. Over time, this rewires your reward system to expect rewards without work, effort, or patience. It trains the brain to become lazy, distracted, and addicted to cheap hits of pleasure. This is why one of the most powerful habits you can adopt is deliberately reducing these unnecessary dopamine spikes. It starts with awareness, recognizing when and why you reach for your phone. Is it boredom, anxiety, escape? Most people don't realize how many times they interrupt their natural rhythm during the day with a quick scroll, swipe, or check. These seemingly harmless actions come at a cost. They fragment their attention and make it harder to focus on tasks that require sustained effort. Over time, this leads to decreased productivity, reduced creativity, and a sense of restlessness that becomes hard to escape. One of the core functions of dopamine is motivation. It drives you toward your goals. But when dopamine is constantly hijacked by artificial inputs, short videos, gossip, clickbait headlines, it becomes diluted. The brain's reward system becomes less responsive, meaning the things that used to bring joy or satisfaction, reading a book, working out, building something meaningful, start to feel dull or effortful. This is called dopamine desensitization. It creates a baseline of low energy and low enthusiasm for life. But the solution isn't to eliminate dopamine. It's to manage it wisely. It's about creating an environment where your dopamine is earned through action, not passively drained by endless scrolling. This habit is also critical for emotional regulation. The more you feed your brain with instant digital rewards, the harder it becomes to tolerate boredom, discomfort, or silence. But these states are necessary for personal growth. Real breakthroughs, mental, emotional, or spiritual, come during moments of stillness, not stimulation. When you reduce junk inputs, your brain starts to rewire its sensitivity. The small joys of life become more noticeable. A quiet walk becomes satisfying. A meaningful conversation becomes engaging. Progress in your work becomes fulfilling. You begin to reconnect with the real sources of motivation and inspiration. Implementing this habit doesn't require extreme digital detoxes or unrealistic restrictions. It's about setting clear boundaries with your digital life. That might mean no phone for the first hour of your day, turning off notifications, deleting apps that hijack your attention, or having scheduled periods of intentional disconnection. It's not about removing technology. It's about reclaiming your attention. The goal is to stop letting your environment dictate your dopamine. When you control your inputs, you control your focus, your energy, and your growth. This habit also improves your ability to delay gratification, a core trait linked to long-term success in every area of life. By resisting the pull of cheap dopamine, you train your brain to value the long game. You start to enjoy the process of working toward your goals, not just the end result. You become more present, more centered, and more mentally resilient. Over time, your brain adapts to this slower, deeper rhythm. You begin to feel more calm, more focused, and more capable of navigating life with clarity and control. Daily movement, even if it's just 20 minutes of walking, has a profound impact on your brain chemistry, emotional balance, cognitive clarity, and overall vitality. Movement is not just about burning calories or building muscle. It's one of the most fundamental biological triggers for optimal mental function. When you move your body, your brain releases a cocktail of beneficial chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and brain digress neurotrophic factor, BDNF, that elevate your mood, reduce stress, and enhance your ability to focus. BDNF in particular acts like a fertilizer for your brain cells, encouraging growth, repair, and new neural connections. This chemical is crucial for learning, memory, and adaptability. Walking specifically is a powerful yet underrated tool for resetting your nervous system. When you engage in rhythmic, low-intensity movement like walking, especially outdoors, your body enters a state of active recovery. This calms the sympathetic nervous system, which governs the fight or flight response, and activates the parasympathetic system, which is responsible for rest and digestion. The result is a more balanced physiological state that supports mental calmness and emotional regulation. Walking also provides an opportunity for your mind to wander constructively, allowing you to access deeper insights, process emotions, and engage in creative problem solving. Incorporating this kind of movement daily also impacts your energy levels in a sustainable way. Many people reach for stimulants to push through fatigue, but the body isn't wired to sit for hours and then suddenly demand energy. Instead, energy is built through consistent, gentle activation. Even a short walk increases circulation, oxygen delivery to the brain, and metabolic function, all of which directly translate to improved focus and vitality. This is especially effective in the morning or early afternoon when cognitive dips often occur. Rather than relying on caffeine or mental force, walking restores your rhythm naturally and supports better performance throughout the day. Daily movement also enhances emotional resilience. When you move your body consistently, you regulate the stress hormone cortisol. You also increase your sensitivity to dopamine and serotonin, which improves mood stability over time. This creates a baseline of emotional strength. You become less reactive, more patient, and better equipped to handle pressure. And this emotional shift doesn't happen overnight. But with 21 days of daily walking, most people report greater emotional balance, deeper self-awareness, and a noticeable decrease in anxiety. That's because movement acts as both prevention and therapy. It builds the internal systems that keep your mind healthy even in stressful situations. Beyond the brain and emotions, daily movement supports hormonal health. For men, it can help regulate testosterone and growth hormone levels. For women, it supports hormonal balance across the menstrual cycle and reduces symptoms of stress disorders. Movement helps flush out inflammation, promotes better sleep quality, and improves digestion, all of which are foundational to high energy and high performance. You start to see your body as a system, not just a machine, and realize that movement is the switch that keeps everything in sync. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. There's also a psychological identity shift that happens when you commit to daily movement. You begin to see yourself as someone who takes care of their body, someone who shows up, someone who takes action. That small identity shift creates ripple effects across your day. When you walk first thing in the morning or after a stressful meeting or to break up long periods of sitting, you reinforce the message to your nervous system that you're in control. This builds confidence and self-trust. It teaches your brain that motion is always available as a way out of stagnation, frustration, or overwhelm. Walking also offers a rare opportunity for solitude, reflection, or connection with nature. It allows you to step outside of the digital world, break from overstimulation, and return to your natural state of rhythm and awareness. Whether you use the time for mindfulness, prayer, audiobooks, or silence, it becomes a sacred window where your mind and body come into alignment. This time is not wasted, it's an investment. In a world that constantly encourages you to sit, scroll, and react, walking is a quiet rebellion. It reminds you that clarity often follows motion, that movement creates momentum, and that something as simple as putting one foot in front of the other can lead to mental breakthroughs and emotional peace. The practice of speaking positively to yourself every morning can rewire the structure of your brain, reshape your internal identity, and influence your entire emotional state before the day even begins. What you say to yourself in those first few moments after waking sets the tone for how your mind will filter the events of the day. If your internal dialogue begins with complaints, doubts, or fear-based thoughts, your brain starts scanning for evidence to support those ideas. But when you consciously choose to speak with power, purpose, and positivity, you trigger a neurological shift that activates your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and goal-setting. Self-talk is not some vague motivational practice. It's rooted in neuroscience. Every thought and spoken word creates neural pathways. Repetition strengthens them. So if you start each day reinforcing self-belief, calm, confidence, and clarity, over time those become your default states. This habit allows you to anchor your mental state before external chaos has a chance to influence you. You become proactive, not reactive. You create your mental environment before the world has the opportunity to shape it for you. This makes a massive difference in your energy, productivity, and emotional stability. The morning is a particularly powerful time for this habit because your brain is in a theta to alpha brainwave state. In this window, typically within the first 30 minutes of waking, your subconscious mind is highly impressionable. What you say to yourself sinks in more deeply. If you intentionally plant empowering beliefs during this time, they take root faster. Statements like, "I am focused," "I handle stress with strength," "I move toward my goals," or "Today is a day of progress," begin to shape your identity. Over time, they don't feel like affirmations. They feel like truth. You embody them naturally. This habit also trains your reticular activating system, RA, a network of neurons in your brain stem that filters what information gets through to your conscious mind. When you consistently affirm certain qualities or goals, your Spotify RAS starts noticing opportunities, ideas, and resources that align with those intentions. In other words, your brain becomes more sensitive to success. If you tell yourself each morning, "I attract clarity and purpose," you begin to notice patterns, people, or messages that reinforce that clarity. Your mind is always filtering reality, and your self-talk programs that filter. Another powerful aspect of this practice is emotional regulation. When you learn to speak calming and constructive words to yourself, even before stress arises, you're building emotional armor. You're preparing your nervous system for challenges. Instead of spiraling when adversity hits, your mind recalls the steady words you've spoken to yourself. You approach obstacles with more emotional control. This doesn't mean you avoid problems. It means you face them from a stronger internal position. You've already established your inner narrative, so external events don't define your mindset. Practicing this daily also builds self-trust. Most people are waiting for external validation to feel worthy, capable, or confident. But when you become your own source of encouragement, you no longer depend on praise or approval to move forward. You carry that belief within you. You trust your ability to act even when nobody is clapping, and that is a rare and powerful quality. When you speak to yourself with conviction every morning, you also reduce self-doubt. The brain begins to associate your voice with authority, not criticism. You stop second-guessing and you start executing. It's important to note that positive self-talk isn't about ignoring problems or pretending life is perfect. It's about speaking in a way that empowers you to take action. Saying, "I am learning to stay calm under pressure," is far more effective than pretending everything is fine. Real grounded affirmations create internal alignment. They remind you that your power lies not in avoiding hardship, but in how you respond to it. And when you begin your day with this kind of mental training, you're setting yourself up to be the kind of person who shows up intentionally, not impulsively. You're developing emotional maturity, strategic thinking, and daily self-leadership. Going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day is one of the most overlooked yet powerful habits for creating structure, discipline, and high performance. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour internal clock that regulates your sleep-wake cycle, hormone release, metabolism, and even your mood. When your sleep schedule is inconsistent, that rhythm becomes disrupted. Your brain and body don't know when to be alert or when to rest, leading to fatigue, brain fog, low emotional resilience, and poor physical recovery. But when you anchor your sleep and wake times, you send a consistent signal to your brain. This is when we sleep. This is when we rise. This is when we take action. Consistency in sleep isn't just about how many hours you get. It's about when you get them. Your body and brain are wired to do certain things at certain times. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, begins releasing naturally in the evening, while cortisol, the alertness hormone, peaks in the early morning. If your sleep patterns are irregular, these hormones become imbalanced, leading to restless nights and sluggish mornings. But when you stick to a fixed bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends, you train your internal clock to optimize these cycles. Over time, falling asleep becomes easier. Waking up becomes more natural, and your energy throughout the day becomes more stable and predictable. This habit also reinforces discipline. When you make a promise to yourself to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, and you keep it, you are training your brain to follow through on commitments. It's not just about sleep. It's about building self-respect. You're no longer operating based on mood, distraction, or external pressure. You're living by a standard. That internal structure carries over into other areas of life. You begin to notice how your decisions align better when your mind is clear, your emotions are stable, and your energy is managed. Your cognitive performance is also directly tied to sleep regularity. Studies show that people who maintain consistent sleep schedules score higher in memory, focus, and learning tasks. The brain uses deep sleep to consolidate memory, solve problems, and process emotions. When sleep is fragmented or inconsistent, these processes suffer. But when you prioritize regular rest, your brain functions at a higher level. You begin to experience greater clarity and decision-making, sharper attention spans, and a stronger ability to handle stress. Sleep isn't just recovery, it's peak mental training. Emotionally, a consistent sleep routine reduces reactivity. When you're sleep deprived or constantly shifting your schedule, your emotional regulation suffers. You become more irritable, more anxious, and more prone to impulsive behavior. But with regular quality sleep, your nervous system becomes more resilient. You handle setbacks with more patience. You think before you react. You bring a calm, grounded presence into conversations, challenges, and moments of pressure. This inner calm isn't something you force. It's something you build through repeated cycles of rest and renewal. This habit also enhances physical health. Regular sleep strengthens your immune system, balances hunger hormones, improves digestion, and accelerates recovery from physical exertion. Your body heals during deep sleep, growth hormone is released, cells are repaired, muscles recover. Inconsistent sleep disrupts all of these processes. Over time, it leads to chronic fatigue, inflammation, weight gain, and burnout. But when your sleep becomes a protected ritual, your body adapts. You become more energized, more durable, and more resistant to illness and fatigue. There is a psychological shift that occurs when you begin to see sleep as sacred, not optional. You stop chasing energy through stimulants and start respecting the biological rhythms that sustain you. You begin to view rest as part of your productivity strategy, not something that takes away from it. Going to bed at the same time each night becomes a signal to your brain that the day is complete, that it's time to let go, recover, and prepare for tomorrow. Waking up at the same time becomes a ritual of discipline and readiness. It reminds your mind who's in control. It becomes an act of self-leadership,